And welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show right here on the WKYC app. Make sure you guys find the QR code on our Twitter page to join the chat during the first hour of this program. It's not YouTube chat, but it is the own specific UCSS chat. There's the QR code on your screen. Take a picture and join the chat to keep the conversation going. Guys, let's talk a little bit about the Browns' draft plans at number 6. We know they have gigantic needs at both the receiver position and on the offensive line. But Dustin, if the Browns get on the clock at number 6 and they are in love with the player who does not fill a need, he's the best player on their board, how should Andrew Berry and that front office and that scouting department weigh we need guys at this certain position versus the best player available?
Mike, that's such a great question, and it's a difficult one to answer because I'm not in their shoes, and I don't really know exactly how they value certain positions and certain players, but I'll say this much. Clearly they need a receiver. Clearly they need offensive line help. The good news is they've got 2 picks in the first round. They've got pick number 6, they've got pick number 24. If the player available at 6 is like a generational talent and so far graded above the best receiver that they have on their board or the best offensive lineman that they have on their board, then they absolutely have to take the best player available in that situation. If it's such a given, like this guy's an elite level prospect. This guy probably we'd be almost reaching for him to take him at 6. The flexibility comes in with having pick number 24. It allows you, I think, to take the best player available at 6 and not have to worry about chasing for need later in the draft, in the second round, third round, so on and so forth. You still have a first round pick, and you can still make some moves if you want to. So I think that's kind of a long-winded answer to say, yeah, they should take the best player available at 6.
Chris, when we were talking about topics to put into today's show for your debut on UCSS, I said, give me something you're hot about that you could unleash a fire take on. This is what you said you wanted to chime in on. So here's the red carpet, Chris. The floor is yours.
I think Dustin stole all my fire because he agreed with me. But yeah, no, absolutely. If you're going to tell me, if you brought up that graphic of the best wide receiver products, and yes, they need wide receiver help badly. You cannot roll that same group out this year and expect better results or great results. But if you're telling me between Carnell Tate and Omar Cooper Jr. that the fall off is just a little bit, I'm okay with waiting till the late first round or early second round to get an Omar Cooper Jr. If you could tell me that a Caleb Downs, a David Bailey, or a Ruben Bain is going to be a perennial all-pro and a great defensive player. I know defense isn't the Browns' problem right now, but you need guys. You need great talent, and that's what the Browns are in position to do. You hope you're not going to be in the top 10 much longer. Hopefully never again. Maybe in the top 15, top 20. Great teams draft great players regardless of position, and we've seen teams so often go into the draft for need and draft for need. I've watched it in Cincinnati for a few years. They kept swinging at the same position, and it never really worked out, and they kept missing out on guys that were really good. So I think if you're a smart front office, and Andrew Berry last year gave me a little bit of hope that maybe he can actually pull this off this year, you're going to go best player available, or I really think they want to trade down. But if they can't trade down at 6, get somebody that for the next 10, 15 years is going to be a Pro Bowler, a guy that could be a cornerstone of your franchise, even if it is on the defensive end, because they need some safety help. And if you could find another great defensive end, Alex Wright showed some flashes last year. Isaiah McGuire has shown flashes. But if you got a guy that can be an upgrade on opposite Myles Garrett, I think you absolutely go that direction.
Sometimes being the host is tough because you got to play point guard, right? And you got to let the other panelists eat first before you take your own shot. So I want to start this by saying I wholeheartedly agree with you guys. But I'm going to make the other point just for the sake of making the other point. Are y'all really going to run it back with Cam Robinson or KT Leviston at left tackle? Because that's currently the situation with the Browns at left tackle. Are you going to allow Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson or Dylan Gabriel, whoever ends up being their starting quarterback in week 1, to throw to a wide receiver group of Jerry Jeudy, Malachi Corley, Isaiah Bond, Gage Larvadan, and whoever the hell else they round up off the street? No! If you have Carnell Tate anywhere near the same ranking as a Sonny Styles or a David Bailey or a Caleb Downs, you take the receiver because you need to see what you have in the quarterback position in 2026. And how can you evaluate a young quarterback or the rehabilitated Deshaun Watson if he's throwing to a bunch of jabronis? It's impossible. And with the jabronis out there, if you go offensive tackle instead of receivers, Well, what if he doesn't have time again? What if he's running for his life? And and once again, it's a big if Elgin Jenkins can't stay healthy. And if Titus Howard maybe over the hill, he's pushing 30 years old. I like those signings. I'm just playing devil's advocate. But if it's close, you got to take the knee because guess what? A superstar tandem of linebackers did for the Browns last year in Carson Schlesinger and Devin Bush. It got them no wins, essentially. It got them the 6th overall pick in the draft. What did the best pass rushing season in the history of the NFL get the Browns last year? A top 6 pick. We know they're good at some spots. Quinshon Judkins was a good rookie. So save me the Jeremiah Love hype. Yeah, he's a weapon. But he don't play receiver. I don't need Sonny Styles and Carson Schlesinger because I got Quincy Williams and Carson Schlesinger, and Quincy Williams with Mike Rutenberg was an All-Pro in 2023, and they just re-signed Alex Wright. So miss me with the best player available. Get me positions that we actually need as long as it's not a crazy reach.
So here's my concern about the offensive tackles because the more I read about the offensive
I
tackles.
just cooked.
That was a monologue.
Thank you.
We got
Except you screwed up
somewhere over
you
here.
screwed up
I ain't gonna
Jenkins'
say
name again.
because I strongly disagree with you. But go ahead.
I said I don't even agree with myself. I'm just saying I just cooked on a take I don't even believe in. All right, what were you saying, Chris?
I was saying, my fear is if you draft for need and you're looking at offensive tackles specifically, we could go long list of receivers that were taken top 10 that just didn't pan out. I'm not a big fan of taking high-level receivers unless you can tell me you're taking a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson, and I don't know that Carnell Tate is there or any of the other guys are there.
It's fair.
But if you take a tackle that maybe isn't worth a top 10 pick, are you signing me up for another year of a Jed Wills? And all due respect to Jed Wills, but you look at what they could have done with that pick instead of taking a guy that was out of here before his 5-year contract was up. You know, if you go for need and you overdraft position from where they could be or where they're slated at on your board, I think you're doing yourself a disservice to what Dustin said earlier. If the guys are so much further up on your board, you got to go that direction. But yes, you need another tackle and you need wide receivers badly, but I think there's opportunities for that later in the draft.
Dustin?
Do you want me to add more to my points?
No.
Or do you want me to wax poetic on how great your monologue was? Do you want me
No.
to tell you about how you screwed up Elton Jenkins' name again?
I said Elton.
No, you said Elgin.
Darn it.
Sorry.
Earl, where do you fall on this one?
I love you, man.
I'll get a
So
name at some point. Names aren't my strength.
I'm team trade back.
We're aware.
That's pretty much where I'm at, right? But if you were for whatever reason to stay at 6, I said this yesterday when I was on the panel. I think I would probably go best player available. I hear all the noise about Carnell Tate, but I don't even personally think that Carnell Tate is the best option at wide receiver if I project what I think Todd Monken wants to run on offense. David Bailey, Sonny Styles, and the Caleb Downs all on the board at the same time, and you don't have no trade down partner, I really got to think about that. You know,
What about Jeremiah Love?
I can't do it. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I believe in Quinshon. I believe in Dylan Sampson. I think you can get a quality running back late. But for me, when I talk about the wide receivers, I see it like Chris and I see it like Dustin. I don't think the gap between Carnell Tate and Omar Cooper Jr. is that great. In fact, I'm trying to mesh wide receivers, meaning I'm trying to draft 2 of them that can play off of each other, right? I am a fan of Chris Brazzell from Tennessee. I like Omar Cooper Jr. I like the wide receiver from Notre Dame. You know, there's plenty of wide receivers out here that I look at and say, okay, if we was to draft this archetype at 6 or 24, you might be able to bag that up with somebody that can complement that at 39 or 70. So to me, I look at the wide receiver group. It's not one guy that like just tremendously stand out above the rest. I think they all kind of circle in the same group with pretty damn good wide receivers.
Let me put it in terms of like recruiting stars. So I think that like Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs and Bailey, like those guys are 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carnell Tate's 4-star.
High 4, yeah.
High 4-star. I think most of those receivers are 4 stars. So you don't take a 4-star at 6 when you can get a 5-star at another position. I think that's where I'm at. And if the Browns don't want to take the 5-star, then you trade down.
How much would it change your opinion? And once again, this is complete hypothetical. If 24 wasn't in play, if they only had 1 first-round pick and it was just 6,
Then I would be trading down no matter what.
Oh,
most likely.
Or would you agree with that? If they didn't have 24, would trade down be your? And you're already on that board, but just taking 24 out of the equation, even re-emphasize and make you feel more strongly about.
I'm trade down no matter what. I'm just of the. I think 6 is more of a prime pick than a lot of people view it. I think that because of how this draft board is, there's a lot of quality defensive players. And then you think of some of the teams that's drafting below the Browns. They might be thirsty because they might believe that they are a player away from a playoff run or a Super Bowl run. And so because of that, you can buy you more picks in either this year's draft or next year's draft and still get a quality player or the guy that you want. There's really a legit world where Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, the top tackle from Miami, David Bailey, Carnell Tate are all literally on a board at the same time. And if that's the case, then you got to test the thirst of the Rams, of the
100%.
Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, because you can get you some draft capital this year and next year if you work your hand right.
I think the wild card in this is I know we're going to talk about him later in the show, but Ty Simpson, if somebody really believes in Ty Simpson, if the Rams are sitting there going, man, Ty, we get him in this McVay offense and he's going to be our star of the future. If you're sitting there at 6 and you go, hey, Rams, come on up. We know you don't like first-round picks. Give us something for the right to come get Ty Simpson, because for the Browns this year, yes, they have to nail this draft, but it's also all about next year. You have to have the capital to be able to go next year and be able to go get, if you believe, your quarterback, because we think right now, granted we thought this last year at this time, if you think right now that your future quarterback, whether that's Arch, whether that's Salin, whoever, is sitting there, you need to be able to go get him. So I think that's got to be on the back of the mind as well.
We've mentioned this before, but I think it's the Browns' threshold to move back to a certain degree, right?
Yes.
If they think at 6, let's say Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, David Bailey, Carnell Tate, and Jeremiah Love are all there. Probably unlike that they're all there, but if they love those 5 players and have basically an equivalent grade for all 5, then of course you can move back to a certain degree and still get one of those guys. I think the best player available versus need really comes down to how they view individual guys and how closely they're all graded. If it's within, to Dustin's point, if it's a 5-star versus a 4.5, then you talk yourself into, all right, this receiver at a 4.5 is more valuable to us than a 5. If it's a 5 to a 3.5, you go with the 5. So we'll find out. Less than a month away. 1 month from today is the day 3 of the draft. So we are about 28 days away from the first round in Pittsburgh. Can't